Mitch Trubisky. Remember him? He had some interesting quotes in which he talked about how happy he is to be in Buffalo, how good he feels to be in a place where he feels wanted, which, of course, is sort of a subtle shot at the people at the Bears, but whatever. And he's talking about the culture, and Josh Allen is raving about what a good teammate he is in the room, and all those things, all the things you would expect Mitch Trubisky to say. But what kind of stood out in the story that Nuno sent me that I read about this was that they point out the highest drafted player in their training camp is Mitch Trubisky. It's not Josh Allen. It's not the quarterback they just gave, what was it, $260 million to or whatever, and rightfully so. He's obviously a star. But his backup is 26 years old, and he was the second pick in the draft really recently. Now, he's not going to play during the season. Unless Josh Allen gets hurt, he's not going to play. So the answer to the question, will Mitch Trubisky ever be anyone's starting quarterback again, I think comes in the preseason. How does he look? Because that's an offense I think is suited to him. If he had been drafted by the Bills and they had utilized him the way they've utilized Josh Allen, I don't know that he'd be this good, but he'd be a heck of a lot better off than he is now. Because what the Bills did was they took a guy with a particular skill set and they said, we're going to play to that strength. And then they brought him along, and slowly but surely, a little less legs, a little more arm, a little less legs, a little more arm. Now he's ready for the next step. Go out and get the superstar receiver, Stephon Diggs. Boom. MVP candidate, Super Bowl contender for a decade. That's called organizational success. Bears, we drafted a guy with this skill set. Coach doesn't like it. Throw a little more, throw a little more, throw a little more, throw a little more, give it up, go get me Nick Foles. That's what Chicago did with Mitch Trubisky. That's what I meant when I said more young quarterbacks are ruined than developed in the NFL. But Tim Hasselbeck made the point on Get Up this morning that his brother, Matt, had thrown 29 career passes in NFL regular season games. When the Seahawks traded for him, he was the backup to Brett Favre, when the Seahawks traded for him and made him their starter. And he went on to have obviously a terrific career and made a Super Bowl and all the rest of that because of what they saw in the preseason. Because Brett didn't play in the preseason. That was a thing with him. And so maybe someone sees something in Mitch Trubisky and gives him a shot. But that is, I think, an interesting question. Nuno, what is the answer to this question? Will Mitchell Trubisky ever again be a team's starting quarterback?
Yes, he will.
Okay. See, I think there's a chance of that too. And I'm surprised you said it because I would have thought I'd be kind of alone in that. I didn't want to phrase the question, will he ever start a game again? Because, of course, Josh Allen could have a sprained ankle. That's not what I mean. What I mean is, will there be a team that at least gives him a legitimate chance to go into training camp to become the starting quarterback for their team? Do you agree with him?
Yes, I think Nuno is right. In 2018, Mitchell Trubisky was the third-ranked quarterback in the NFL by our QBR metric behind Patrick Mahomes and Drew Brees. So he's demonstrated that he has the ceiling to be a really good quarterback so long as the coach is willing to give him a shot. I don't see any obvious reason why someone else won't do that for him next year.
So much of it was about his athleticism, his ability to run, and all the stuff that the coaching staff, that Matt Nagy and his offense didn't want to do. And so he was a square peg in a round, whatever peg and hole don't go together. He was that, and that was a problem. So that's one player that I'm going to be watching. The next one is a super obvious one, and that's Jordan Love. Jordan Love is going to get all of the play in preseason, or at least he's going to get a lot of it. He won't get all of it because they won't take a chance on getting him hurt because he's going to be the backup this year. But bear in mind, Jordan Love did not take a single snap as a Packer last year. I don't know that he ever had his hand anywhere near the buttocks of the center. I mean that literally because there was no preseason, and he wasn't the number 2 quarterback. So he didn't get any play in the preseason, and he didn't get any reps in practice. Probably not literally none, but damn close. So I think with Jordan Love having gotten all of the mandatory minicamp and the voluntary minicamp and all the stuff that Aaron Rodgers uncharacteristically sat out, Love goes into this preseason with a real chance to succeed. He's going to start their first preseason game, and I think it's going to be really informative to see how he looks. And, of course, it doesn't mean that if he looks bad in these preseason games that he's a bust or he's terrible. That's totally unfair. But what if he looks great? What if he looks great? Does that have some impact on what the ultimate future looks like for Aaron? Because Tannenbaum told the story on Get Up this morning when he, Mike, traded for Brett Favre from the Packers. The Packers were more than happy to get what they could for him and move on because they were very comfortable with what they had sitting there. It's Aaron Rodgers, 16 years ago. He got drafted 16 years ago, whatever that is, 11 years ago, however many years it was that the Jets got Favre. The point is, how will the Packers feel about Jordan Love when the time comes for them to do this? We'll start getting our first real sense of that in the preseason. The next player that I'm watching is Jimmy G. Jimmy G is holding off Trey Lance for dear life. Jimmy G, I think, needs the opportunity to be the starting quarterback for the 49ers. And the coach keeps talking like he's going to be. But everything I'm hearing coming out of there is that Trey Lance is setting the world on fire. Like that he just looks spectacular. And where will Jimmy Garoppolo be if he doesn't get to play for the 49ers this year? If he is just the backup all year, which I'm having people tell me they think is a real chance, is there a team out there that's going to bring him in and say, he's my starter next year? He's won a lot of games, but boy, people love to just tear apart everything he's accomplished. People love to give him no credit whatsoever for all the winning that he's done. I think he needs to get on the field. As crazy as it sounds, he needs to win that job. He needs to make sure he's their starter when the season starts. I'm not suggesting that his preseason performance would make other teams want to sign him. I'm saying he needs to start real games. He's not keeping that job all year, almost no matter what. He needs to start some games. So I think it actually is important for him to continue to be the best option for that team winning games.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.